Good evening, I'm Norman Robinson, and welcome to Affordable Housing Matters. We are back with another season of housing, and we start this season out with a mayoral election and a potential national affordable housing crisis. We have a great show planned for you as always, so don't go far.
Got a new house.
I think I finally found a place that I call home.
Welcome back. In early 2014, Housing NOLA was established to help develop strategies to increase affordable housing, improve housing policies, and increase the equity of housing in New Orleans. And joining me now is the Executive Director of Housing NOLA, Ms. Andronika Morris. Welcome back to Affordable Housing.
Thank you so much, Norman.
It's always nice to have you here. I feel like I get an education about affordable housing.
Oh, thank you for that. And thank you for all y'all are doing with keeping this matter front and center.
You know, the news doesn't get any better from where I'm sitting.
Right.
What about from where you're sitting?
No, it's not. We're in quite the conundrum. But the good news is that because of the work that we've been doing with community partners, with other policymakers and experts, we have a path forward. And we've learned early on when we launched Housing NOLA that we were going to have to talk about cultivating political will, not just platitudes, but real political will.
Okay, let's talk about political will. Where are we on that front?
So right now we've got here in New Orleans, we've got a mayor and a city council that would rather have kabuki theater around affordable housing and when they act collectively, we've got real problems. For example, they have caused a shortfall in 2 critical affordable housing deals after appropriating funding 2 years ago and then last year summarily snatching the money and also being really cagey about where the money was. One of the things that happened after the voters last year overwhelmingly voted for the Housing Trust Fund. They also voted for a process around transparency and accountability. And so through that process, which has been working diligently for the last few months, we have revealed this shortfall, and it's made it very clear that the mayor and city council must work together before the end of this budget year to replace those dollars, or we will lose those affordable housing developments.
How many dollars are we talking about?
It's about $8 million that was pulled out of projects. Again, the funding was committed in 2023. And very bizarrely, in a little bit of, again, political theater, the money was moved, even though it had been obligated, and it needed to be obligated by the end of 2024. It was obligated, but there was a lot of showmanship around, you haven't spent this money, so we're going to move it. And leaving those, and as the projects move forward, I think there was a thought maybe some of the projects might fall out. Some of them did, but enough of them have finished, enough of them have closed. And again, what the trust fund called for is that the council, when they make these investments for 2026, they need to understand the entire board. They need to understand the city's dollars. They need to understand the Housing Authority's investments, the Louisiana Housing Corporation's dollars, the Finance Authority, the Redevelopment Authority. Everybody who's putting money into housing, they need to know what that is, and then our dollars go in where it's most needed. And this has revealed some of the shenanigans that they've been pulling.
How big a hole is there to plug now, and what would this $8 million have done towards?
So this is almost 100 units of housing that are stuck right now because they need to get this funding confirmed. And again, they got award letters. So
they do have award letters.
They have award letters. They've been told to meet needs, to address issues. They've been working towards closing. Because this money was appropriated in 2023 just as the insurance crisis was kicking off and getting in the full swing. So deals were stuck. Projects that were ready to rock got weeks ahead of closing dramatic increases in their insurance costs, which blew holes in their project. So they had actually done the stacking, they had the financing secured, they're getting ready to go to closing. The insurance crisis says no, instead of $750 a door, it's $1,500 a door.
Wow, twice the amount.
Twice the amount, seeing that, stopping these projects in their tracks. The council and the administration worked together to put a pool of dollars together to address that issue in 2023. In 2024, the council and the mayor's office, they both worked together to do this and pull some of the money back, even though they had projects obligated for all of that money. The projects then were given a deadline to get everything going. Many of them met that deadline and have actually closed and are starting construction. There are...
Wait a minute. Started construction?
Yep.
So these skeletons are just sitting there bleaching in the sun and...
Or empty lots of land. Yes, yes, yes. So what we're doing here is holding up the development and the creation of desperately needed affordable housing.
So how many people are we talking about?
This 8 million could serve anywhere from 100 to 150 units. So these are relatively small projects.
And we're talking about families.
Yeah, we're talking about families, households, that's right.
So where do we go from here?
The council and the mayor's office have to appropriate budget, not for next year's budget, because these projects have to close this year. These two projects.
So that's a stiff deadline.
Yes.
They've got to close this year.
They have to. They have to. There are other funding that they're dependent upon. Two of the projects in particular have faced tremendous neighborhood backlash. These are...
Meaning what? When you say tremendous...
The neighbors have fought these projects bitterly. They're former housing development. They're HANO projects that weren't ever really, and we shouldn't say projects anymore, but I meant development deals built on HANO land that have faced some of the most outrageous NIMBY objections I've ever seen, right? Early on in one of the developments in Maison and Royal, you literally had neighborhoods saying they wanted homes that people came back to. So Maison Royal actually welcomed people back after Katrina. People moved back there. And about 7-8 years ago, the decision was made to renovate those apartments because they weren't in great shape. Even though they welcomed people back, they needed to be renovated. So they've been working for the last 7-8 years to bring those folks home. And the new neighbors, once the site was cleared, some of them thought it would be better to be a dog park than to house people. Yes, these are comments made on the record. My favorite one was someone saying that their dog made a friend at another dog friend on that parcel, as opposed to them using the multi-million-dollar linear park that's right across the street from this place that used to house New Orleanians. So the neighbors have thrown up all kinds of objections. The developers have gone through that. The housing authority has gone through that. And one thing that's been really extraordinary, there's actually been like a schism in that neighborhood because there are neighbors in that Bywater area. The original neighborhood association voted to support this investment. And some of the more radical and more strident folks broke off and formed their own group.
So as I'm listening to you, we have a two-pronged issue. One is that the money has been delayed or put someplace else.
Yes.
And the second is you have NIMBY.
Yes.
The second is not in my backyard.
And you have to wonder if those two things aren't connected.
Really?
Right. So.
Now you're not just being cynical.
No, you have to ask that question. Are the council members in the mayor's office responding to that pressure with this might be weaponized incompetence? That's
a dark scenario that you're painting there.
Yes. It's not a good thing, but it's we have a lot of contradictions, right? We'll see folks say things about affordable housing, and we'll see people take actions that's absolutely contradictory. The council, for example, has downzoned much of districts C, D, and E. When you say downzoned, what do you mean? Made it so that you can't even build a double in certain parts of New Orleans.
Really?
Yes. That's hey, we're.
Well, what's the philosophy or thinking behind that?
What the comments that made on record by the council members have been, even in the face of fair housing complaints being brought by the Justice Department. In face of it saying, we don't think the neighbors are being racist. We want we're worried about people going in certain areas, and why don't you make some of these? Why don't developers work in other parts of the city?
But wait a minute, doubles have a historic place in the city of New Orleans.
That's right.
I mean,
they absolutely do, and this is why we say weaponize incompetence, because what usually brings the NIMBYs out are apartment complexes, larger scale apartment complexes. But then you see this massive overcorrection by our council with putting in policies that would prohibit even a double being built.
well,
So
now,
there's a difference between large scale multifamily and a double. Totally agree. But if in response to neighborhood concerns that frankly are unfounded, but you go even further and you prevent doubles from being built, that's part of the problem. And then you say why can't we attract investors? Why can't we attract businesses?
has this anything to do with gentrification?
It actually, some of the folks who are moving to neighborhoods like Bywater, for example, has dramatically gentrified. This was a neighborhood before Katrina that was working class African Americans, people living in doubles. A lot of those doubles have now been converted to singles, and the folks who are there now were not there pre-Katrina. And so you do see, even though the neighbors at Maison Royal, their former neighbors at Maison Royal absolutely came back and were there for quite some time before these renovation efforts started. You have to see that, yeah, we believe some is gentrification, but also some of it's just short-sighted, because despite the pressures that have been put on the market with gentrification, the fact of the matter is that there's vacancy everywhere. And this insurance crisis has made it harder for almost everyone to stay here. So we can't keep having these really problematic conversations. And the way you address gentrification, the way you address the insurance crisis is we've got to mitigate the risk. So that means building new homes that are fortified and built to those standards, because the legislative auditor this last session shared their findings and their analysis that if we can get 25% of a market down to where 25% of the homes are built to the fortified standards, to have those fortified roofs on, we can see a dramatic increase in insurance for not just the homeowner living in that property, but for the community writ large.
I see. So it has a ripple effect.
It absolutely has a ripple effect, because no person can really be an island. When the insurance companies are looking at risk, they're also looking at if your roof is fortified, that's great, but if your neighbor's roof is not fortified, that house could come down and have impact on you, and so on and so forth. So what does that look like? And right now we have too many homes that are not built to these standards. And so adding new homes that absolutely will be built to those standards. All new construction must be built to those new standards.
So that's the discussion you're having with the insurance companies now.
We're trying to have those conversations with the insurance companies.
What's the challenge? What's the challenge?
The insurance commissioner is the person who really needs to be having those conversations with the insurance companies, and he's refusing to regulate them.
Why?
Again, his philosophy is he wants to make the insurance companies as comfortable as possible, and for them, comfort is making as much money as possible with as little risk as possible. And we think the issue has to be making sure our communities are safe as possible. The insurance commissioner has a program. Millions of dollars have been allocated to the insurance commissioners. We have been fighting him tooth and nail in every session to get those dollars deployed effectively, to get those dollars deployed for people who need them. And we're seeing some progress. We're seeing some modest progress, but it's not enough, and it's not moving fast enough.
Have you had personal face-to-face conversations with the insurance commissioner?
Yes.
What's your relationship like?
It's interesting. The insurance commissioner is very sensitive to criticism. So,
meaning?
He doesn't like to see Facebook posts or hear phone calls from constituents telling him that they don't think he's doing a good job. And so we want to make sure the community understands what's going on. So we want to encourage them to talk to their legislators. And he often objects to really simple strategies. Like, for example, this recent session, one of the things that we want to make sure that happen is while we're working on this, we could probably get to that 25% in 5, maybe 10 years if we had the resources necessary to make the investments in fortified roofs and those retrofits and some of the weatherization. There are people who can't wait 1 year. They're going to lose their homes. So we also wanted to see legislation that would help people pay their insurance costs. The insurance commissioner refused to help with that kind of legislation. He's pushed back against any guarantees that if you make the investment in a fortified roof, you get a discount. He's objected to those things.
Why?
He does not want to regulate the insurance companies to that level.
So he thinks that's
A step too far.
That's what's keeping insurance premiums high and keeping insurance companies out of the state of Louisiana because they're being overregulated.
Does
he have a point?
No, he does not.
He does not.
He does not. No, when you know that almost half of claims in Louisiana were denied last year, off the top. They don't have a regulatory problem. They are not regulated enough. Almost half the claims filed last year in Louisiana were denied outright. That's not a regulatory problem for the insurance companies. It's a regulatory problem for the consumers.
That's startling.
That's a regulatory problem for us as consumers, but not for the insurance companies.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how would you rank insurance as the problem for cost burden and affordability?
50.
That high?
Yes, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 50.
Okay.
Yes, it is. There is nothing else at this moment driving the cost for renters and homeowners. That's a point that a lot of people miss. Like taxes, landlords have to get the operating costs from their renters. It's one of the reasons why we have 40,000 vacant apartments in New Orleans. It's one of the reasons why we've lost almost 40,000 people in Metro New Orleans in the last few years. People are being pushed out.
I was talking to one of my good friends, Will Sutton, who's a columnist for the Picket Union. You probably know Will.
Yes.
And he was attending a conference where they were discussing affordable housing and the number of people who had been forced out of the city to live in the outer metro area.
Yep.
And he said the number was somewhere like 40 to 50,000. That's astronomical to me.
Yes. I mean, this is going in the wrong direction. This is going in the wrong direction. The last 20 years of growth and the comeback story is being undermined by this insurance crisis. And the insurance crisis is reacting to the fact that we have houses and buildings that are not in great condition, and we can't get resources to renovate them and update them and upgrade them, not to scale. We need a disciplined investment strategy. We need to be prioritizing housing. That's the only answer. We need to be making sure that homes are weatherized so that they don't get water into them. Also, and all of this needs to happen for one real basic reason, so that the people can be safe, right? That's really what the insurance companies are responding to. For them, it's dollar and, it's math, it's an actuarial table, it's a risk analysis, risk modeling, all of those things. But what it boils down to for you and I is that our communities are not as safe as they need to be. And that's why people can't get insurance, because the insurance companies are saying the risk is too great. So we have to be talking about making those investments. And it would be different if we couldn't do it.
So you're saying we can do it?
We absolutely can do it. We absolutely can do it. We have the technology. My favorite part about the fortified roof program and the technology and the building codes that we've worked to adopt and get adopted across Louisiana and get implemented across Louisiana is the fact that a lot of the science was funded by the insurance companies.
Really?
Because they're looking for a way to mitigate risk.
Because it's costing them money too, right?
Yes, not as much as, don't cry for them now.
I won't ever cry for an insurance company.
We've seen data that suggests for every dollar that's been spent in claims, they've made 15 over the last 20 years. So, yes.
That's a hefty profit.
That's right. So when we talk about, and again, that's a part of the regulatory pieces, because there's been research after report after documenting, showing how the insurance companies are creating subsidiaries and shifting dollars around. They're spending money on things that they shouldn't be spending on. There was one in this last session where it was revealed that a CEO locally was taking helicopter rides
Yes.
to and from different parts of the state, and not from like New Orleans to Shreveport, but New Orleans to Hammond or New Orleans to Baton Rouge. Just get in the car, right? And those are the kind, like, you got money for that, but Mrs. Such and Such can't get her claim paid. Okay, so you've got that, but then you've also they do want to pay out less, right?
Sure.
And part of it is that they are actually, it's not all greedy jackasses. It's also people who are like, let's make these houses safer. How do you do that? So they've helped fund these initiatives, fund this research, and that's one of the reasons why it's that we can't. That the insurance commissioner won't push them to guarantee at a minimum a floor of how much they will, what kind of discount they'll give someone who will retrofit their house. We're not talking about getting them back to pre-crisis, but we're talking about giving them some breathing room until we get the rest of the community.
Is 25% enough?
25% is the tipping point for the number of people. We're talking about 20%. Yeah, 20% is not a lot of money. The discount that we've been proposing has been a 20% discount. That's incredibly modest. If someone has seen their insurance triple, quadruple, quintuple, which we've seen, 20% off the new number isn't a lot.
No.
And the insurance companies won't go that far. And the insurance commissioner won't take them that far. He won't demand that they go that far. And part of the reason it is kind of letting them have their cake and eat it too, because they know the house is safer. And if they're still charging these astronomical prices, that's even more profit for them. That's where the regulatory piece comes in. That's where the commissioner is really falling down on his job, right? Because that's the space that he lives in. We can have a conversation about risk. We know, especially with the way climate change is, everything that's happening. We've got these lightning storms now. We've got we had a blizzard this year. So, but we can live with those things, right? We can live with those things. People have done extraordinary things. They've elevated their homes. There have been parts of the communities parts of the area that were said this isn't safe, or you need to elevate, or you may not need to be there. People are trying to have those conversations. They're not just blindly and blithely going back to place after place after place. So they're ready to continue to have those conversations. Every time there's a lottery for the Fortified Roof Program, thousands of people apply. But what the legislative auditor also showed is that they did the math, and at the current pace, to get to the 25% tipping point, so that's 25% of the state having fortified roofs, it will take us 2062 at the current pace.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's mostly being funded by
That's not enough progress.
That's not enough progress. We don't have time for that.
No, we don't.
And so that's why we need a concerted investment strategy. We need to take the resources that we have and attract more.
So who besides you, Ms. Morris, is having these conversations?
We have a really amazing insurance statewide task force that has people like GNO Inc. participating, because that's how serious this is.
Yeah.
The affordable housing developers. We've got statewide partners. This is our insurance task force. Our statewide insurance task force is peppered with people from across the state who recognize the seriousness of these issues, builders who are ready to do the work, developers who've already made these investments, community leaders, public officials who get it, and so we've got a good set of partners who are working on different aspects of this. One of our core partners, Real Reform Louisiana, they've been at the forefront of these conversations about insurance alongside us for a number of years. So we've got folks who get it, and
This is your task force.
This is our task force.
Now
a statewide insurance task force. Yeah.
You're talking about policymakers. I don't hear any public officials in that conversation.
So we have public officials that we've worked with in the past and continue to work with. This last session, we saw bipartisan support for some of these bills. Representative Matt Willard, Mike Baham from St. Bernard, Senator Royce Duplessis. Those have been our big champions on these issues. And Senator Kirk Talbot, who chairs the Insurance Committee, he's introduced some good things. He wants to work in lockstep with the Insurance Commissioner. And, there's some hope that he can help pull him where we need him. That hasn't actually played out. But what was unhelpful was the governor and the Insurance Commissioner staging a slap fight with each other and dragging Morris Bart into the middle of it. Those are some of our biggest problems, right? Where we have policymakers who are, rather than listening to their constituents, are watching these theatrics play out. And it did not help that Governor Landry a couple of weeks ago declared that the insurance crisis had been fixed.
Well, that's wishful thinking on his part, I suppose. That's a good sentiment to have, but it's not realistic.
Yeah, not realistic. And bizarrely, the insurance commissioner, both the insurance commissioner Tim Temple, and the governor decided to prioritize auto insurance. So, pretty sure he was declaring victory on their packages for around auto insurance. Which,
well, that sounds plausible.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's helping either. We haven't seen any evidence that there's been big relief in that sector as well. But I think, and also got to talk about the flood insurance, right? That's another big issue. That's federal. That's one of the reasons GNO Inc. is one of our big partners on that. They've been championing issues for over a decade, right? As we saw some progress on flood insurance after, within the 10 years after Katrina, amazing legislation's passed, and then Risk Rating 2.0 came and kicked us all in the teeth. Yeah.
So the upshot of all of this is we're not going to have any real progress on the affordable housing crisis until we do something about insurance.
Right, and that doesn't mean just waiting on the state and the federal government. We can do things locally, right? We are seeing some modest reduction in insurance when you make those investments. It's not where we need it to be, but it's enough to give people breathing room. So if we can get the fortified roofs on the people's houses, we can do the weatherization, which will also bring down some of their utility costs. And that's not as expensive as building a brand new home.
Right.
Nowhere near as expensive. We can get it done for about $72,000 per.
Oh, that's reasonable.
Very reasonable. So again, that's what we mean by attracting capital. So yeah, there are going to be some people who can't afford that. And so they need resources like funding from something like the Housing Trust Fund and the other subsidy dollars that we get and that we attract and that we have. But then we also have to talk about an investment strategy. It's really hard for a homeowner or a property owner to borrow that little money, right? People often talk about being able to pull equity out of your home. And it's not as easy especially when you're going to do it for construction on said home. A lot of the banks have actually gotten rid of those lines of businesses because you need a professional contractor and construction manager to help you do that.
We've got a lot to discuss, and we've run out of time.
Oh, no.
But I know you will be back.
Yes.
And I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about your meeting with the Insurance Task Force.
Yep.
All right. Andronika Morris, Executive Director of NOLA Housing, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That will conclude our program for this evening. We would again like to thank Ms. Andronika Morris for imparting her knowledge and expertise on our program tonight. Also, remember, if you would like to re-watch this or any other past episodes, click on the QR link on your screen, and there you will be able to watch this and all other episodes of our programs at your leisure. I'm Norman Robinson, and we will see you next time right here on Affordable Housing Matters.